Hey, it's James. Welcome back to the channel. So glad you are here. Especially those that have joined recently. Welcome. Appreciate you. Uh, I I want to respond to a couple comments. There was a person. Let me slide over. Um, John Hackelman 7448 asking me if Robert Morris is repentant. I don't know, and quite frankly, at this point, I don't care. I want him out of ministry. He should never be behind a pulpit again. It's the videos are not necessarily about Robert Morris. I'm more concerned about the people that are still attending Gateway Church and making sure that they are treated well. And I want people who are currently in ministry to put. Let me put it to you this way: if you make decisions ahead of time in your mind, what you're going to do when you're tempted, when the temptation happens, you've already made up your mind what you're going to do. For example, I will not be in a room by myself with the blinds closed and nobody can see in with a person of the opposite sex. That will not happen unless it's my wife. Okay, if I'm talking with my wife in private, I don't want anybody else around. So I'm sorry, the question isn't relevant. Okay, then there was this. I'll leave that one up there because the screenshot's got two of them. The Cindy Jean, and it said Max Lucado is flaky, comparing Joseph to Robert Morris. I never thought for 1 second when I was listening to that sermon that Max Lucado was comparing Robert Morris to Joseph. What I thought I was hearing, what I heard, was the people of Gateway Church are going through a rough time, and they're the ones that need to look to God for strength, and they're the ones that need to trust in God, that God's going to get them through this. This had nothing to... I never thought for a second that he was comparing Robert Morris to Joseph. Remember, this is the part that very few people seem to understand. Robert Morris lied to them for years. It's like Watergate. It's like what happened was bad, and then the cover-up was awful. So, and then the third one I want to look at, this guy says, his name is Rusty Voice in the Wilderness, 9580. He says, what a crock. Boundaries training. You don't seem to understand. I went through boundaries training. I have learned how to handle myself in certain situations so that I don't put myself in a compromising position. So I don't put myself in a position to where, these people that like Jimmy Swaggart and the old TBN guy, Tammy, the Bakers, you don't just one day wake up in the morning and go, I want to have an affair. You make subtle compromises. You start spending more time with somebody of the opposite sex, and you shouldn't be spending time with that person. And then you start sharing things that you shouldn't share with anybody else other than your spouse. And before now, that's how it happens. You've got to nip that in the bud. You cannot put yourself in compromising positions. And the number one thing that I've seen more than anything else, and we're going to put up, it's from Matthew 20. And I want to read this. Jesus is talking. Let's start in verse 25. Matthew 20, starting in verse 25. He says, but Jesus called them to him and said, you know that the rulers of the Gentiles lord it over them, and their great ones are tyrants over them. it will not be so among you. But whoever wishes to be great among you must be your servant, and whoever wishes to be your first among you must be your slave, just as the Son of Man came not to be served, but to serve, and to give his life as a ransom for many. I only have one point in this video. One. And it's this. When you're in ministry, you are there to serve. You are not to get your... If your mentality is that I'm in ministry and these people are there to serve me, that's wrong. And that's where these people, whether it be Jimmy Swaggart, Jim Baker, Robert Morris, IHOP, Mike Bickle, they were looking to the people that they are supposed to be serving and wanting to be served. That's wrong. We get our needs met by God. We trust in God that God's going to meet our needs. God's going to take care of us. And we do that by faith. And if you're not operating by faith, if you're trying to act and believe that the people that are in your church or in your congregation, the people there are there to serve you, you got it backwards. And it leads down a very dangerous path. And I believe that every single person at Gateway Church who's on staff need to be reminded of this, that they are there to serve people. They are there to point people to Jesus. We're not supposed to act like a rock star minister does. We're supposed to point people to Jesus, because in Hebrews 12, he is the author and perfecter of our faith. So that's why I talk about boundaries. And I hope that Gateway Church will take me up on it, because I want to talk about this with, I believe if I'm given opportunity to talk to different churches about this, I can equip ministers and set them up for success so that they don't make the same mistakes that some of these other ministers have made when they fell into sin and they're no longer in ministry. So, if you are new, please hit like and subscribe. I do want to thank you for being here. I want to thank the people that have joined recently. I want to thank the people that have been around for a while. Ultimately, I want to encourage people to be more like Jesus. And here recently, I've realized that, we need to take a stand, that this type of behavior is not okay. I heard recently one source said it was 1 in 4 women in America have experienced sexual abuse. Some people have said it's 1 in 6. I wouldn't care if it's 1 in 8. That's too many. This has got to stop. We got to put an end to this somehow. And whether it's boundaries training or whatever, if you've got a better idea, by all means, please share it in the comments. Instead of being a keyboard warrior and attacking me, if you've got ideas on how to make things better, share them. Because ultimately what I'm trying to do is not only just expose what's happening in certain places, but let's have dialogue on how to make things better. So, thanks for watching, thanks for being here, and I will see you tomorrow.